And we are live. What's good, Josh and man, DL Saint? Welcome. I really want to know podcast, man. How y'all feeling out there, man? How y'all feeling? Um, yeah, we are getting through the week, guys. What is it? It is we up Tuesday. Crime and Punishment Tuesday. Of course it is. I am out of it, guys. I am out of it. Just trying to get my bearings straight, running around like crazy. Had a bunch of stuff going on, just doing what we do. But I'm so glad you guys can make it. So happy you guys could be here. So we want to get into this thing, right? Crime and punishment, like what's going on. And I want to talk about the Tates. Man. Like, can the Tate brothers stop extradition? Right? Understanding the legal battle ahead for those boys. And I definitely want to talk about it, guys. It's very fascinating. So I thought, you know what? This would be the perfect topic. So here we go. Let's get into it. And we are live. What's good, y'all? Welcome to the I Really Want to Know podcast, y'all. Get some indeed, guys. So just here making it happen, man. I want to start off with a bang. Shout out to my brother, Dr. B_84, man. The first member, man. One of our members. Shout out Don DeMarco. Became a YouTube member, man. I really appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. It means a lot. And it's cool to, be in these YouTube trenches, and it's cool to kind of create a platform and try to put it out there for the world to see. But I mean, it really means something, man, when, folks that like Dr. B and I, man, we've broken bread. Like we've, been in Brickell, kicking it, going down there, doing the thing. And I mean, it just means so much, man. Like, it's a lot of work on this end, guys. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like, it's not just sitting in front of the camera and actually being the on-air personality, but being the executive producer, the producer, the editor, being the researcher, being your own assistant. Like it goes on and on and on and on. You're wearing so many hats, bro. You're wearing more hats than a centipede has legs. So, when you see stuff like that, man, when people are willing to donate their hard-earned money to support what you're doing, man, it means a lot. Shout out to you again, brother. I don't know if you're in the chat. You hear this? But that's for you, fam. I really do appreciate it. It just makes you feel good, man. It makes your day. I mean, this is hard work, bro. That's like scoring a touchdown, bro. That's scoring a touchdown. That's like, oh, that's not just a good play. That's not a first down, bro. That is, we, line of scrimmage, we line up, snap the ball, boom, and it's like we score. That's how it feels on this end. I truly appreciate it. For those who do want to be a member, we do have memberships available now. We have one. You just be a founding member. And again, you guys who've been watching me and supporting me and my day one's been following me, you guys know what we're trying to do here. We're just trying to push through to the next level. We're going from just being a hobby to actually having this hobby pay for itself. Right. So it just, like to bring the content, to bring it at a certain quality, I mean, you're going to have to invest a little bit. We use StreamYard, but we don't use the free version. So we invest in that. I use AI. I use two versions of AI. I use Claude and I use ChatGPT for different things, but they're both for the platform. Lights, we got lights, we got camera that gives us action, microphone stands, got another microphone right here. It's just so much that's going on. Books, we buy these books and it's like, yeah, I do want to read these things, but I'm buying the books and I'm reading them for the content. It's not just, this is like, it's research and it's stuff that we speak on. You name it. I mean, it's just so much going on. Gas money going out. And when you become a member, there is content for our members that I don't post here. Right. And, we get real back there. This is a bunch of stuff, man. Yeah, we're gonna be back there and I'm gonna be extremely real. I'm not worried about what words I'm using, because if you guys watch me, you know I'm constantly thinking about, okay, what's a good word, what's a bad word that YouTube is gonna like and not like and all that. Members only stuff, man, we talking from the real, straight from the heart. This is what's going on. So if you want to see the raw, unedited version of what's going on right here with the I Really Want to Know podcast, it's going to be in the members only section. And we're going to be doing a whole bunch of stuff. Like I'm working on a review. I want to talk about Spider-Man. I took my daughter to see Spider-Man. I want to talk about that. I'll be able to do it over there. You know, what we do over there, I'm not worried about likes. I'm not worried about views. I'm not worried about, you know, I'm not worried about none of that stuff. I'm not worried about advertising. It's just we over there talking for real. It's our virtual space for us, man. Like this, it's our battle hall. You know what I mean? It's our uh, Legion of Doom or Justice League, whichever one you want to use. That's what we're doing over there. So, brother Dr. B, man, truly appreciate you, man. Shout out to you. And to anyone else who has joined, I just know right up he's a new member. It came right up. So if anyone else has joined, you know what I mean, show you the same kind of love for sure. We're gonna be doing members only lives as well. So all that stuff is coming. It's all coming, right? And this is what we're doing right now. We're trying to push through to the next level. And the reason we talk about this stuff, man, like, you know, crime and punishment Tuesdays, man, I don't want anyone to get in trouble. I don't want anyone to go out, you know, when they're not quite right, you know, make a bad decision, and wind up, you know, handcuffs on, back of the car, getting processed. Now you in the tank, you know what I mean? Now you inside, you in the justice center, you wherever you at, you in the jail. I want to help you avoid that. I also want to, you know, let you know how tough it is out here in the real world. All my financial talks and all my political talks and all that stuff, it's in the members only, right? Because I love talking about that stuff, and I know you guys love hearing about it, but it confuses the algorithm if, you know, we're just too many places. So we got to focus right now, build up the following, build up that I Really Want to Know platform. And once we do that, then we can talk about everything we want to talk about on the platform. It's not going to hurt us. But if we talk about it now, we're so small, it just hurts. The algorithm doesn't know what to do with the content. So if you want to see the political stuff, the finance stuff, the economy stuff, you know, all that stuff is in members only. And just as hard as I put videos out on this platform, I'm trying to go just as hard to put the videos out for members only. And I got a couple of videos I want to do and put back there. It's some stuff I did a show about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, not that long, maybe a year and a half ago. And I was talking to the headliner of that show, the artist DC813, which is an up and coming comedian, but he's also a hip hop guy. He's a writer, real sharp. First time I saw him do comedy, and he was just starting in comedy. He wasn't in the game too long. I told him right away, I'm like, bro, you got what it takes. And I've been kind of watching his progression. Well, there's a video where the two of us were just chopping it up. We just turned on the phone. I bought some new camera equipment. I bought like this little magnetized little camera stand. And I had some lab mics, not the DJI ones, but I had some other mics, put them on and just started chopping it up with him. So you get to see behind the scenes, like, oh, this is what, you know, comics are doing. This is what we talk about. When I started going out to do more comedy, I had a camera on. You know, I might even get some of those glasses, the Ray-Bans, the Google glasses. I might get some. I'm not going to be recording people without their knowledge, but it just makes it easier for me to record folks, you know what I mean, to kind of get some one-on-ones. All that's going to be in members only, right? All that. We're going to go crazy over there. So, again, thank you, brother. I appreciate you. And he's like, he's like saying, hey, on my week off. Hey, man, that's what's up, bro. That's what's up. You earned that week off, fam. I mean, look forward to talking to you again, man. I really like the idea of going down there, bro. Like we can like meet up next time you go down to Miami. I like that idea, bro. Like let's go down, let's get the team together, bro, the old band together, and just kind of chop it up. And then maybe even, you know, work something out, man. Get you guys come here to Tampa. Tampa's cool. Tampa's cool. Is it as good as Brickell? Hell no. Hell no, it ain't. But Tampa's nice. You can still do all the things you can do in Miami. Right. You know, you got the water sports, man. You can get the boat. Right. You got some really nice hotels here, man. They got nice JW. They got the Addition, some really nice hotels. Some decent food. And you guys know I'm a foodie. Do we have any of the big names here? No, we don't have a Carbones. We don't have a Mr. Childs. We don't have a Dirty French. We don't have a Mamos. We don't have any of that. But there's some decent spots here. You know what I mean? It's more of a hometown feel instead of the big town feel. Um, Tons of cigar bars, man, gentlemen clubs, lounges, there's all sorts of stuff to do. Guys be having meetups in their whips, like so you'll have the guys with the Lamborghinis and Ferraris pulling up, and then like just going out and having a good time dancing and stuff like that. Comedy, spoken word, you name it. So Tampa's a cool little spot, bro. You can pull up on Tampa. We can figure that out, man. I'd love to have you guys here. But like I said, I'm pretty sure I'll see you down in Miami, like with King Life and all the rest of them, before I see you guys here. So, that's what's up, man. I'm feeling good, bro. Feeling good to see what happens when your brothers come through, when your friends come through, when your fam come through, just to support what you're doing. Don't sound like much, like, oh, it's $5 a month, man, but that means a lot, bro. That means a lot. You feel me? Because I understand, money is hard to come by these days, and it's just getting rough. It's getting rough out here. Again, in the members only, we talk about that, and I'm going to be doing a bunch of videos on what's going on, what I'm seeing, what's going on with the economy, what's going on with the credit crunch, what's going on with people credit scores, what's going on with foreclosures. There's a lot going on that we can't put here. We can't put here because it confuses the algorithm, but we do have it over there. Okay, that's enough. That's enough of me trying to sell something. I mean, hate selling, hate sales, but that's what this is about. And look, Dr. B is like, it's easy for me, bro. I'm with you on that, man. Like I tell people all the time, don't threaten me with a good time. Like, oh, can you meet me in Miami? I'm like, yeah. Like, I didn't tell you when. Doesn't matter. Like, I'll go to Miami. For me, I can just drive down there, man. I can rent a car for $15 to $20 a day, maybe $25 a day. I could rent a Camry and drive down, man. I'm there in 4 hours from my doorstep to the doorstep of to Brickell itself, whether I'm staying at maybe a JW, St. Regis, Centric, or the W, bro. I'm there in 4 hours. 4 hours. That's awfully. Oftentimes I like that drive because I can just clear my head. I'm just driving, no music, no nothing. I ain't doing nothing. I got to drive, so I'm just sitting there. I can make some phone calls. I catch up on that sort of thing. Yeah, man. So it ain't nothing for me to get down there, bro. So let's get to what we came to talk about, man. Let's really talk about what we here to talk about, and that's the Tates. All right, let's talk about the Tates. So, right, can the Tate brothers stop extradition? Understanding the legal battle ahead. All right, so I'm glad you guys are here. And tonight, man, we're just gonna ask a simple question: can the Tate brothers stop extradition? Right, because I really want to know, and I'm sure y'all want to know as well. So, the Tate brothers have become two of the most polarizing figures on the internet. To some, they're entrepreneurs who have been unfairly targeted. To others, they're alleged criminals who should just face justice wherever the evidence leads. Right. So tonight's discussion is about whether you like Andrew and Tristan and not. It doesn't matter. It's about understanding one of the most misunderstood areas of criminal law. And I am not in the law field. Right. I am a retired air traffic controller. The only thing I know about the law is dealing with it from the wrong side. Right. Even growing up, just never got in trouble, never got caught when I was young, but I was always around. People would talk. We understood the system, but I never seen it from a lawyer or judge's perspective, or even a prosecutor for that matter. So, or defense lawyer. So we're going to get into that. And at the end of this, man, we're going to watch a video from Legal Mindset. He's a lawyer. This isn't his type of law, but this is a guy who's, in the Mano Swamp. He's Mano Swamp adjacent, but he's done the big shows. He covers this sort of thing, and he can cover it from a legal lens. So we're going to save his video for last because I really, really want you guys to hear what he has to say. I haven't even heard the whole thing. But I can tell you right now, I don't think it's pro Tate, right? And I'm not pro or anti, Tate. I just want to see what's going on. I don't understand this situation, and this will give us some clarification. So we're going to talk about international extradition. We'll examine the criminal allegations, the countries involved, how extradition actually works, the legal rights they have, talking about the Tates, whether they can realistically stop extradition, and what could happen next. You know what I mean? So for those who don't know or been living under a rock, let's just get into it. Who are Andrew and Tristan Tate? Before becoming global internet celebrities, Andrew Tate was a professional kickboxer. Tristan Tate also competed professionally as a kickboxer. Um, Both later built online businesses centered on self-improvement, masculinity, entrepreneurship, right? Big time entrepreneurs, luxury lifestyle content. This is what they were doing, going on people platforms, and then they had the war room, and then the what is it, the Tate University or whatever it was. So their popularity exploded after TikTok clips, podcasts, social media debates, controversial statements. Yeah, Andrew was always saying bombastic things, man. He was saying a bunch of raw, crazy stuff. And there now and then he said some stuff that was like really thought provoking, but it just depended on where you stood in the spectrum. If you hate him, you hate what he had to say. You know what I mean? If you was pro Tate, you really enjoyed what he had to say. They became some of the most searched people on earth. And with popularity comes scrutiny. Right? This is how it works. Right? So why are they facing a criminal investigation or multiple investigations? The brothers have faced investigations involving alleged allegations such as human trafficking, right? They're facing that, organized criminal activity, sexual exploitation, right? So a lot of this, when we get into it, you're going to see how they were just basically exploiting women. Allegedly, that's what they're accused of, sexual exploitation. Financial crimes, depending on the jurisdiction. I guess there's some people after them for some financial crimes too. I want to start off by saying up front, I don't think they're facing anything in America. I don't think they've done anything here in this jurisdiction, but the rest of the world, they got some problems. They have denied wrongdoing and have consistently maintained that the accusations are false and politically motivated. Right? They talk about that all the time. They talk about politicians hating them. They talk about the matrix. An important legal principle to emphasize that we need to really focus on is being accused is not the same as being convicted. Right? We know that, guys. And here in America, especially, it's supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. That's what they tell you. Right? That's what they say. But the minute you're wearing orange or tan or stripes, you got that mug shot, bro. Everyone looks at you and like, you guilty. You must have did something. You must have did something. They wouldn't put handcuffs on you if you didn't, right? So that's the thing. But remember, guys, here in America, you're innocent until proven guilty. I don't know what's going on in these other countries. I don't know how they get down, but I'm sure it's something similar. I would hope anyway, but this is America. This is why people want to come to America, because we do have these laws, even though no one's going to believe you. Once you get arrested, everyone's kind of like, you must do something. And then you get your day in court, you get acquitted, or the charges get dropped before you get to court, and people were like, oh yeah, I knew you were good. I knew you didn't do anything wrong. Really? Like, really? But the presumption of innocence remains a cornerstone of many legal systems until guilt is established in court. I just have to go with that, I guess. You know what I mean? I guess. I don't know how they get down in the UK. I don't know how they get down in Romania. I don't know how they get down in the rest of the world. We just see what we see out here. So what is extradition? Many people hear the word but don't understand it. Extradition is the legal process by which one country transfers a person to another country to face criminal charges or serve a sentence. Right? That's what extradition is. And I'm watching the live feed. Forgive me for the glitching, if there's some glitching going on out there. But every time I move the cursor, it looks like it glitches up a little bit. So I apologize in advance. We're working on it. Once we start, making a profit here, or at least get to the point where I'm not, losing money, we can invest more money. You guys know I'm definitely going to get a new computer. So that's coming, but just bear with me until then. We're doing a little bit better though. We're almost off the struggle bus. We just got to buy a computer. Once we get this new system, I think we'll be okay. So extradition is not automatic, it's not immediate, and it's not political theory. That's not how it's supposed to be set up. It is governed by treaties, domestic laws, court hearings, diplomatic agreements. Right? So that's what it is, and that's what it isn't. And a lot of people, again, if you're anti somebody, like, I'm not a big Trump fan. So when you see Trump get in trouble, you see him do something, you get in trouble, instinctively you're gonna be like, yeah. But for me, it's an overall picture there. It's like, okay, Like when Trump got into this trouble in New York, it's like, all right, what did he really do? Let's wait and see. Everybody was like, he's guilty, he's guilty, he's guilty. Turned out he was, right? Remember that Trump's a convicted felon. But I was like, well, let's let this play out. Let's see what it is. Let's see what happens here. And even when all that was going on, I'm not a Trump guy. I was like, man, this really seems small though. Like they're really coming after him. But hey, man, they got to him. So it is what it is. But eventually he became president again and it all went away. Right? It all went away. But that's my point. The point I'm trying to make is simply because you don't like someone, right? It doesn't mean that they're automatically guilty. Right? I mean, I believe in the system. If anyone can be got by the system, that means you can be got too. If they're going after people who got millions, hundreds of millions, billions of dollars and they're getting them, bro, how hard would it be for them to get you? And the only thing that's going to really save you is the process. Rich people got money. That money's going to save them. But for everyone else, it's the process that's going to help you out. The fact that, yo, you don't need millions to get out of this. All you need is a competent lawyer and you should be able to hold your own against the government. You can do that in America. You can't do that in China. You can't do that in North Korea. You can't do that in Australia or the UK. It seems it's hard to really fight them, right? You can't do that in Putin's Russia. So that's one really good thing about being an American. That's my take. My bad, off on a little tangent there, but that's just where I am with that. You know what I mean? Whether the Tates are innocent or guilty, I just want to see the process play out and I want to understand the process. I want them to have their day, right? So we're talking about domestic laws, court hearings, diplomatic agreements, right? So none of this stuff is automatic. None of it's immediate, right? Great Britain just can't tell America to pick somebody up and send them over here, just like America can't tell Great Britain to pick somebody up and send them over here. Some countries they can. In some countries they do, right? So why doesn't every country just hand people over? Like I just said right there, because countries have sovereignty. The countries have sovereignty. And those people who live in those countries, citizens of those countries, they have sovereignty, right? Every nation decides whether its laws permit extradition, whether treaty requirements have been met, whether the requesting country have provided sufficient legal documentation. Courts, not politicians alone, often play a central role in reviewing extradition requests. And that's where we are with the Tates. America has taken them into custody. They got them. Right. But now this process begins. And it's like, okay, are we going to extradite you? Do you can fight this. Obviously, the Tate boys decided to fight this and their lawyers are going to go through the process. So grounds for challenging extradition. Like, so what goes on? It's like, what legally, what grounds do you have to challenge these things? Right. Like if someone shows up, if law enforcement shows up at your house and say, hey, man, the Australian government wants us to take you into custody for something you did in Australia. What? And then they snatch you up, right? You're going to really want to know what's up with the process. Right. And that's where we are right now. So grounds for challenging extradition. Defense attorneys may challenge extradition on several grounds, depending on the laws of the countries involved. So in this case, we're centered on American laws versus the laws of the United Kingdom. So examples include identity. Hey, do we have the right person? Because if we grab the wrong person, we certainly don't want to send them off somewhere. Insufficient legal basis, right? So the requesting country has not met treaty requirements. Like, so it might be in the treaty, like, okay, we will only extradite our citizens for certain crimes, major crimes or whatever. So if it comes out that, oh, Australia wanted to arrest you because you were littering, or Australia wants to arrest you because of something you wrote and put, out there in their public, which might be against their laws, because maybe they don't have the same freedoms as we do with respect to freedom of speech. America's not going to send you over there. They're like, no, that's not, we ain't doing that. Right? Insufficient legal basis. Like, man, we ain't doing that. So that's part of it. So we got to look at that, make sure that they are compliant within the treaty. Human rights concerns, arguments that the individual could face torture, inhumane prison conditions, denial of a fair trial. That's part of it. Same thing. Let's say I went years and years ago. What was it, back 2016? I think it was. Maybe 2018. I can't remember. But I went to China. I was in China. I was in China for about a week. I was in South Korea, Japan, and China. So what if someone comes knocking on the door and is like, hey, U.S. Marshals, we're going to take you into custody. Why? The Chinese want to see you. What? Right? Going to arrest you. We're going to extradite you to China. So America probably wouldn't do that because they know, like, man, we drop him off in China. There's a really good chance he's going to get tortured. It's going to be some inhumane conditions, although America has inhumane prison conditions in this country, but might be worse over there. And definitely denial of a fair trial. Like what the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, consider a fair trial versus what America considers a fair trial, two different things. So, you feel me? Like America's like, nah, we ain't gonna send you to China, or we ain't gonna send you to Putin's Russia. We're not gonna send you to North Korea. Right? We ain't doing it. So you got that. Human rights concerns. Political motivation. Defense lawyers sometimes argue that a prosecution is politically driven rather than based on legitimate criminal charges. And that's one of the things that we've already heard. Like it's some sort of political witch hunt. They don't like Andrew Tate, the Matrix and all that. They don't like his message. So it's like they're just looking for anything and everything they can to get this guy so it's politically motivated. So that's something that the judge is going to have to take in consideration. Is this politically driven? Right? So that's part of these hearings. Treaty interpretations. Lawyers may dispute whether the alleged conduct qualifies under the applicable extradition treaty. Right? Again, this is something as an American, you want to be happy we got this. So, you go visit New Zealand, you come back home, and then all the New Zealanders want you back because of something. At least America as a government is going to say, hold on, let's look at the treaty. Let's look at what's going on here. We ain't just going to snatch up one of our citizens and send them to you. We need to see what's going on here. Some countries don't have that, man. Like some countries, if you just pay enough, they'll snatch up anybody, who you want. We'll snatch them up with enough money. Here you go. All right. And they're, so thank goodness for the Constitution. So treaty interpretation is big. So this whole process could take a while, man. So why can these cases take years? International criminal cases often involve multiple appeals, procedural motions, diplomatic considerations and coordination, document translations, right? We're dealing with different languages. Not in this case, but in some cases, jurisdictional questions, like who has jurisdiction over this sort of thing, right? And competing legal systems. Extradition can therefore take months or even years. Like this whole process is with the Tates is definitely going to take months. Definitely going to take months. Right. And right now they're just his defense team, the Tate's defense team is just really fighting to get them out of there. Like, well, look, these guys are on a flight risk. How about we take their passports and everything and just let them stay somewhere else, just get them out of jail. So that's probably going to be a couple months just getting that going. And remember, the Tates are U.S. citizens. They have dual citizenship. They're U.S. citizens. Their dad was, U.S. citizen. I believe they were born in the United Kingdom. Their mom is a subject of the crown, I guess what you call them. Like mom's is, a UK citizen. So the Tates are Americans. And which means they're going to get to take advantage of the American system, which means they might be able to get some sort of parole, some sort of bond, some sort of something. Right? Remember, they're not facing any American legal issues. This is all for them. So, the lawyer might be able to make an argument to say, hey, let's let these guys go. They're not really a flight risk, especially if you take their passports. They're like, well, they got access to private jets and all that. Like, well, okay. I mean, that's why you had the argument. Right? So let's talk about the countries involved, man. You got Romania, you got the United Kingdom, possible additional jurisdictions if applicable, right? People are like, well, what does that mean? Like they spend a lot of time in Dubai. Did they do anything in Dubai? Probably not. They've spent a lot of time in Poland. They spent a lot of time in, just you fill in the blank, right? They're here in America. So have they broken any laws in these other jurisdictions? And each country has its own legal priorities. Sometimes criminal proceedings in one country must conclude before another country's extradition request can be considered. And this is really important. That part right there is really important because apparently, and I haven't done the research, and I mean, I might have to at some point if we continue to follow the story, but apparently Romania has a clause like that with the United Kingdom. So Romania can't extradite the Tates, even though the UK wants them and they made the formal request, until the case has been resolved in Romania. And they say that case is never going to be resolved. They say, you know what? The Romanians are like, we're done. We're never going to resolve this thing, which means that case is always going to be open, which means the government, the Romanian government, will not extradite the Tate brothers to the United Kingdom. They say that that's a thing. That's something to be listening for moving forward if you're going to follow this case closely, which some people are. But that's a really big thing. I didn't know that. I'm like, huh. So then you got to look at, well, what does America say? Like, what does the American treaty say about this sort of thing with respects to Americans? Because remember, the Tates are American. So let's talk about the role of public opinion. Right, the role of public opinion. The Tate brothers are unusual because millions of people already have strong opinions about them. Right? Should viral fame influence criminal proceedings? Most people will say, nah, it shouldn't, but we all know it does. Right? Come on, just keep it 100. We all know it does. If people know you as something and they've already made up their mind. So can someone receive a fair trial after years of media coverage? It can be real difficult. Can it be done? Maybe. This is why you always have these arguments of change of venue. You have police officers who do like something really bad in a bad neighborhood, like, you know, like in LA, Rodney King, LAPD, man, they viciously lit that dude up. So you're supposed to be tried where you committed the crime, right? A jury of your peers. And they were saying, oh, well, you know, these cops are not going to get a fair trial because everybody hates the cops. So we need to change the venue to where, oh, let's go out to Simi Valley. Well, what's in Simi Valley? Well, that's where all the cops live. Like, those are their peers. But you didn't do the crime in Simi Valley. You did the crime down here in LA. So we're going to move it to Simi Valley, which, again, this is just them arguing and, you know, this can help their case. I want to put this case before people who are more, you know, apt to forgive the person. So I want to try the cops where cops are liked as opposed to trying the cops where the cops are disliked. It'll be the same thing with the Tates. Something similar to that. Although, again, they haven't been charged with any crime here in America, to my knowledge. So can you really receive a fair trial if you're that popular? Does social media pressure prosecutors, judges, right? Because you want to give the people what they want, and then becomes, are you going to give the people what they want, or are you going to serve justice? Does it pressure juries? You get into a jury, you're like, yeah, I can't stand this guy, but you got to be impartial. You're sitting there, you got to look at the evidence, right? May not like this guy, but man, I don't see the evidence here ain't holding up. That could be a thing. Or the evidence could be overwhelming, but you like the guy. Like, you like the guy. You know, like Barack Obama, big fan of Barack Obama. Could you imagine being on the jury and let's say he's accused of something horrific, and then the evidence comes in, it's like, it's real evidence. It's like, man, he really did this just based on the evidence. It'd be hard to convict the dude, right? For some people, other people, they'll love to do it because they don't like him. So that's really a big thing. That's really a big thing. So does it pressure juries? Yeah, it does. Right. So how does social media change criminal cases, man? So years ago, people learned about cases through newspapers. Today, millions consume information through TikTok, YouTube, X, Instagram, podcasts, and other platforms, right? So think about it. Way back in the day, you watch the movies in black and white, you know what I mean? Got the kid outside, got the paper boy out there, extra, read out about it, right? And extra was like an extra printing. Normally they would print the news, I want to say 3 times a day. I think they had a morning printing, they had afternoon printing, and they had the night printing back in the day. You know, it's before TV was really prevalent. You know, radio was a big thing. So, but most people got their information from the newspapers, and you would have so many different newspapers in every city. You know, 4, 5, 6 or more newspapers in every city. And this is how they would buy it. You know, let me get the New York Times, let me get the Post. I mean, let me get the Herald, let me get the Chronicle, let me get the, you know what I mean? They would have all these different options. They would read them because they would give a different side of the story. It would come filtered through a different lens. Nowadays, we got social media. Everything is instant, man. Just grab your phone. And then you're going to get all kind of opinions and this and that. And then like people like me, like, bro, I'm not a journalist. I'm not out here verifying my stories and checking my sources. I do the best I can, but I'm just kind of reading what we have, and I'm just trying to figure it out like everybody else. So the stuff isn't just handed to you anymore, right? It's just not. So everyone's coming with some sort of opinion. Like if politically on the right, you're gonna feel a certain way. If you politically on the left, you're gonna feel a certain way, right? If you're in the middle, you're gonna feel a certain way. If wherever you are, you can find that bubble because the algorithm is gonna shoot it to you. The algorithm is gonna just keep sending you stuff, what you want, what it thinks you want. It's just feeding you the same thing, like the same information. But back in the day, those newspapers, it's like, oh man, if I want a conservative slant, I'm gonna go get the Post. If I want a liberal slant, I'm gonna look at the Times or wherever, or however it works. Um, if I want to know what the unions are thinking about, I'm gonna get the Herald because that's the union paper. Everyone loves the Herald. So it's. I think it was better back then, and then it morphed into TV when TV became big, and it's like, okay, ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox. That's it. That's all you got. You had those four. Before it was just three: NBC, CBS, and ABC. It was just a three, and then Fox came along. But they all have their own little slant. And then when you start looking at media today, they all say the same thing. Media is on the same wavelength. So this is going to really affect what's going on, especially when it's time to get a jury. If it goes to a jury, I don't even know if this thing goes to a jury. I think this is all about a judge, this extradition request, right? But many people form opinions before seeing any evidence presented in court. So, you got allegations versus evidence, and then you have proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Again, this is American stuff. I don't know how this plays in with the extradition. I don't know. I think you just argue to a judge or maybe a panel of judges, and they weigh it against the treaties and our laws versus their laws, and then they come out with an outcome. Yes, you get extradited, or no, you don't. So let's talk about common misconceptions, right? So myth. They're innocent because they haven't been convicted, not necessarily, right? We're talking about the Tates and what's going on here. They're guilty because they were arrested. Also, not necessarily. Extradition means guilt. No, it doesn't. Extradition determines legal proceedings. Extradition determines where legal proceedings occur, not whether someone is guilty. All right. So could they actually stop extradition? And I think this is a good one. Could the Tate's defense team actually stop this extradition? Possible outcomes include extraditions being approved, extradition being delayed, appeals are filed, requests denied, conditions negotiated. I didn't know that part. They can actually negotiate some conditions there. One country's proceedings completed before transfer to another jurisdiction. So I guess we're going to try the case in absentia or whatever. Avoid predicting outcomes. So, you definitely want to avoid predicting outcomes. And my whole thing is, but I don't know what's going to happen. Like looking at this thing, like, man, I really don't know. I just don't know. I don't know what's going to happen here. I don't even understand the process. Right? And that's why I'm happy we got this video we're going to jump into in a little bit. But the broader discussion, it's about international cooperation, which I understand, upholding these treaties, which is very important, organized crime investigations, because if people know they can go to certain countries, which they already do, and get away with crimes they committed in other countries, that's what they'll do. Right? Non-extradition countries, right? How many times people get in trouble in America? Like, I'm looking for a non-extradition country. I'm looking for a country that doesn't have a treaty with America, so I can do my dirt and I can run over there. They're trying to avoid due process, but we still get due process. Even the Tates are getting due process right now. They do have rights, even though they're accused, they have rights, and balancing public safety with individual liberties. These are very difficult things, right? These are very, very difficult things, right? So now we've said all that. Now let's jump in to this video. All right, let's jump into this video. Let me pull this up again. I apologize for the glitching, guys, But we have this video from Legal Mindset, and he talks about everyone, um, like any big time like nuisance streamer or any of these, big time YouTube people who get in legal trouble. He covers it. And a lot of guys are like, this dude's probably blue pill. Like, nah, man, I don't think he is. He's been on Fresh and Fit. He's been on these other platforms, and he's just trying to cover it from a legal perspective. Is what he's trying to do. So let's check this out. This video is about 12 minutes. I'll be stopping as we go. But let's definitely check it out and hear what he has to say. Again, this is Legal Mindset. Shout out to Legal Mindset. And away we go.
The Tate brothers are in real trouble. Today, we're getting into the objective law around Andrew and Kristen Tate's arrest and their pending extradition. Of course, this is a Legal Mindset. We teach you to be your own judge. I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney. And extradition is a very interesting topic, especially for me as somebody who lives abroad. So it's something we're going to dive deep into today and tell you stuff that really no one on the internet is talking about right now, but is extremely relevant. So Andrew and Tristan Tate, they're being accused in multiple venues, but the UK charges and pending extradition is the main thing we're going to focus on today, because that's the battle ahead of them right now. Right now, they're not in the UK. They're not facing those charges and evidence yet. They have to be in the US fighting this extradition. And whether you're pro-Tate or anti-Tate really doesn't matter. This is about the law. So let's get into the background for those that don't know about the Romanian case. They were arrested in 2022, charged with organized crime, trafficking, and SV. We're going to say that for YouTube. The indictment was sent back to prosecutors in Romania to fix procedural and structural flaws. So what this means is the actual trial in Romania is not happening right now. It's on pause. That's why they were allowed to go, because this is not proceeding right now. The trial is not going on right now. However, they are expected to go back to Romania to face the trial or charges, etc., in the future when Romania eventually fixes the flaws in the case. And I do believe they will eventually do that and proceed. But now we have the
So that part right there, I knew about the pause. I thought the case was done. This is why we kind of, get an opportunity to check this stuff out. I'm like, okay. So the Romanian case is still open. And the Romanians intend at some point to continue with that case, the trial, according to Legal Mindset. But no one knows when. No one knows when. So are the Romanians playing a game? Did somebody come in with a bunch of bread and like, hey, man, just leave this case open indefinitely so these dudes ain't got to worry about the UK and, they get their freedoms back so they can do whatever they want to do? Is that some sort of play? I wonder. Let's keep going.
cage charges. And this is the big one. This is the real battle for the Tate brothers. So Andrew Tate, and we're going to break it down brother by brother here. Andrew Tate faces 42 charges. And this is the number 42. This is really throwing a lot of charges at them here. We're talking about the R word, multiple counts, trafficking, actual bodily harm. Of course, we're talking about legal definitions here, right? This is legal stuff. And offenses related to indecent images, right? Spanning from 2010 to 2017. So this is very serious charges. Now, one important thing is none of those charges are inherently political. This isn't, for example, jailing them over mean tweets or memes or etc. or what their words were. These are actual acts. And that's very important to the analysis here under extradition law. Tristan Tate is facing similar, but less. So he's facing very, very serious charges as well, but less than Andrew. So when you look at extradition, this is something that most people don't study, most lawyers aren't paying attention to, because it's something you don't deal with commonly, especially for people in the United States. They're not hearing about extradition. But as somebody who lives abroad, this is something you do indeed hear about, and you'll hear in the news there might be a criminal out there, some fugitive, and they get extradited. And that's something that you hear about, especially when you live abroad, these cases and things going up. I read a very good book about the FBI operating abroad, which they do. Most people don't know that. They have offices in other countries and they catch fugitives, bring them back, go through extradition. That's a big part of what the FBI is doing abroad.
He ain't lying about that, bro. And it's not just the FBI. You have other three-letter entities, American three-letter entities operating in countries all over the world. So it's a lot of dudes out there, like the weirdos out there who like little kids. So a lot of them would go places like the Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, you know what I mean, Laos, wherever they're going. Right? They do the same thing in Europe, like Eastern Europe mostly. They might do the same thing in South America and in Central America. They go to these places. So yeah, the US will have feds over there working hand in hand with the local authorities to catch these dudes. And once they catch the dudes, they'll bring them back to America to stand trial. If the locals don't want to press charges. Sometimes there's some countries that don't have laws against that sort of thing. And that's why these guys go there. Right? They're exploiting children. So America, like, all right, cool. We got laws, and this is an American, and we're gonna hold this person responsible. We're gonna hold them accountable using our American laws. We're gonna bring them back. All we just need you to do is to extradite these guys back home, and we'll take care of them. And that happens. Right? Same thing in the drug trade. You know, you guys watch all the movies. You watch Narcos. You saw this you had the DEA working in Mexico, working in Colombia, you know what I mean, working in Honduras, working, everywhere. They're doing their thing all over the world. Same thing. They're doing their thing. They're getting their evidence, and then they'll catch the person they're looking for either here in the States or tie them to a criminal organization and snatch them up wherever they are with the help of the locals and bring them back to America to stand, to face justice. So yeah, that's what's up. I hear what he's saying.
So between the UK and US specifically, there is a treaty. So all these countries all around the world, you either have an extradition treaty or you don't. But the US and UK definitely have a treaty. In fact, it was updated in 2003, which became effective in 2007. And that took into account certain things. It's updating. We're in the war on terrorism era, et cetera. So it kind of changed the paradigm. So this is what is required for extradition under almost all treaties, but specifically under this one. The first one is dual criminality, extraditable offense. So that means it's serious, right? It's not going to be a parking ticket. There has to be sufficient evidence. And also there is an exception for political offenses. So let's get into what this actually means and what, the breakdown is. So dual criminality. Dual criminality means the act must be a crime in both countries involved before they can send a suspect back. This is very important because, for example, some countries might have let's say, religious law that says if you offend against a certain religion, then that's punishable, or do something that's blasphemous, right? That might be punishable. Well, if that's not the law, let's say in the United States, we don't have those laws. We're not going to extradite for that, right? So it's got to be something that's mirrored in both countries, right? And this is a case where all of these things are also criminal in the United States. You saw what those charges are. They exactly mirror the United States. US and UK law, of course, US is a derivation. It comes from UK law, though we changed and I would like to say improve the system as a biased American. So let's talk about sufficient evidence, right? So from the UK to the US, so somebody that's getting deported from the UK and sent to the US, that's probable cause. Is there probable cause? From the US to the UK, though, it's a little different and it's actually easier. So the standard is reasonable suspicion. So this is information sufficient to justify arrest and charge under UK law. So essentially, they've been able to file the charges. That's enough. Right? So in the UK, they're justified to file the charges. That's enough. Unless those charges are completely unjustified, there's no evidence, etc. Now, the Tates can contest that. And I think their lawyer, which, we'll see a clip in a second here, their lawyer's trying to fight back and contest this and say, hey, I want to see the evidence. Okay, they can try to push back on that. But as long as they've got enough for reasonable suspicion, very low standard, they're going to meet the sufficient evidence clause. Now we got political offenses. Now this is a big one because the Tate's lawyer has been going on podcasts talking
with the creation of the Bruff Party. Was that also something that agitated the system?
It's an internet meme and mostly just him talking about it. He didn't take the formal steps, as far as I know, that to go out and actually form a real political party.
Someone like Tate, let's say that he really was trying to form a political party in the United Kingdom. I don't know their politics that well, but bro, Tate's base, the majority of his followers are minors, man. Like they're minors. And then a lot of kids who aren't really, young Americans, young adults who aren't into politics. So, I mean, could you take someone like Andrew Tate serious if you had a serious, to start a political party in the United Kingdom? I mean, that's a stretch, bro. It's like starting a political party over here. You can do the paperwork and register your party, whatever. There's tons of political parties. When we look it up, there's tons of political parties in America, but which of those parties are legitimate, right? Republican Party, Democratic Party, right? You have the Libertarian Party, right? You have those people. I mean, there's some more out there, but all the other parties are affiliated with either Republicans or the Democrats, right? And then you just have independents. It's like people who float back and forth who are non-party affiliated. So it would be easier to do something like that in America than it would be, I would imagine, in the UK, because they have a bunch of legit parties. Like you have to form a coalition of these different factions of these different parties, and then get in the parliament. I'm doing what I can to learn about what's going on over in Great Britain, but their political system is very interesting to watch and learn.
And actually start funding that and campaigning and actually doing the groundwork in the UK. That aside, with them saying, hey, this is a real political party, right? There's no evidence. I haven't seen any evidence of that. And they're going to need to go and show, hey, no, what did you do to actually start a political party? What did you actually do to start a political movement? And what the Tate's lawyer is trying to do here is he is trying to fall into the political offense exception to prevent extradition. This is a very well-established rule, allowing a country to refuse extradition requests for a crime considered political. It protects individuals from unfair political prosecution and keeps host nations neutral in foreign struggles. So, for example, if there's a civil war in a country, right, and one side of the civil war is saying, hey, you need to deport or extradite, you need to send these people out who are on the other side, the rebels, right? They're saying, oh, no, it's an internal conflict, it's civil war. That's you guys. We're not going to do with that. We're not going to choose sides here. We're going to stay neutral in your internal affairs. So what actually happens is, and this process is very important, is that the U.S. federal judge holds an extradition hearing and decides whether the person is extraditable under the treaty or not. So they go through the elements: dual criminality, probable cause, is there a political offense exception? And that's what the Tates are going to face first. So all these people screaming on the internet saying that Tates are innocent, that Tate's going off and talking about all the Matrix and all this other stuff, that really isn't going to be relevant to the extradition treaty. That's not going to get them out of the extradition hearing that they're coming up to. So they're going to need to say, hey, we fall into an exception and actually prove that with evidence. If the judge rules it's extraditable, the case goes to Secretary of State, which is Marco Rubio. The Secretary of State has the sole unreviewable discretion to order a person's surrender or refuse. So right now, a lot of people that are back in the Tates, the pro-Tate squad, is really trying to pressure Rubio and put pressure on Rubio, saying, hey, Rubio.
This part right here is massive. I didn't know this. Hey, man, shout out to Legal Mindset, man. Don DeMarco to him. This is why you want to go and do some research. I didn't know the Secretary of State could do this. And I heard some talking heads on mainstream media talk about this, but they were saying that, well, as far as the Secretary of State is concerned, it's just a rubber stamp. Whatever the judge decides, whatever the lower courts want to do, the Secretary of State just goes along with that. I didn't realize that the flip side meant that he could absolutely override it. Now that makes sense. Now it's like, okay, why was the Tates, why were they so into American politics, and why were they out here buying influence, which is easy to do with Donald Trump, right? $2 million pretty much gets you anything you want. This is why the Tates were probably doing this. Okay. So Marco Rubio can stop the whole thing if he wants. Sole unreviewable discretion to order the person's surrender or refuse. So Rubio could say nah to the Brits. Nah. Now, here's the thing. The question becomes, can Trump pressure Rubio or order Rubio to do something? Trump said he's going to stay out of it, but normally when Trump says something, the opposite is always the case. Hey, maybe the Tates paid a few million, 5 million, 10 million, whatever it was. I'm just speculating here. Paid Trump the money through his people. And his people like, hey, man, this is the dude that paid us. So when this goes down, you got to have Rubio squash it. That will be interesting. And again, this is the legal system, guys. This is how the legal system works. If you got the bread, right, you can move a certain way. We talked about the whole Epstein thing, and then we're looking at this right here. Crazy work, guys. Crazy work.
At the end of the day, you can make the call and you can say, don't extradite this guy, which is true. So the Tate people are correct when they say Rubio can stop this. But I'm about to tell you a lot of reasons why Rubio is probably not going to stop this. First of all, there really has only been one winning defense, and this is one time. So since 2007, and since this thing has gone down with the new treaty, there's been one person that they've refused to extradite. Think about that. There's not a bunch of people. It's not a common thing. So all of these people banking on there's no extradition or Rubio's going to stop it. It hasn't happened. It only happened with this woman, Ann Sokolas. She's a wife of a U.S. intel officer who caused a fatal car crash involving a British motorcyclist. The U.S. upheld this as diplomatic. So they wanted to, perhaps they're protecting their spooks. Who knows, whatever the U.S. is doing and the spooks are doing. What the UK ended up doing is making her plead guilty, or rather she agreed to plead guilty to a lesser charge and have a suspended sentence, which means she doesn't actually have to serve it. And she did that remotely from the U.S. So she phoned into the UK. Also, there's an imbalance with the U.S. and UK. And this is a big reason why I think Marco Rubio is not going to do this, because the U.S. needs the UK more than the UK needs America. And that's just the facts. Those are just the numbers. So from between 2007 and 2026, there's been over 200 requests by the U.S. And this is an estimate because not every request is approved, right? But that's a lot, right? The U.S. is asking a lot. That is 3 times the UK amount. The UK averages 3 to 7 extraditions per year. Not a lot, very few. Meanwhile, the US is in the upper teens or 20s. So they're requesting a lot more than the UK is. The other thing is the Tate's civil suits. Now, the Tates bring this up a lot, and I just want to mention this because this is something I just want to throw out there. None of this has any bearing on the extradition claims. The Tates have several defamation lawsuits. One was dismissed against the online critics. Another one is still active in Florida. But it doesn't matter if they win all of those defamation cases. Even if they win all those defamation cases, it doesn't go towards dual criminality, sufficient evidence, political offense. That's all that matters.
Now, what a lot of people are talking about with the defamation cases, the case out of Palm Springs is allegedly the woman who started, and one of the prime witnesses or, defendants or victims in this whole thing involving the Romanian government and all that. This is the woman who said, yeah, they held us here behind our will and this and that. And she left Romania, and then she was just kind of bouncing around the world. Allegedly, they're in court now in Palm Beach, this is where the woman is from, to basically prove that she lied about everything. Like, just show that, hey, she lied about us. She has a history of doing this. She goes around and she finds powerful men and she tries to basically blackmail them. That's what she did here. She couldn't get what she wanted out of the Tates, and what she wound up doing is going to the Romanian authorities or the British authorities and saying, hey, he did all these things. I want to file these complaints and whatnot. Allegedly, that's what's going on. The Tates are saying once we prove that this woman's a liar and we prove that everything she said in Romania wasn't true, and the rest of the case begins to fall apart. That's the narrative that the Tate side is putting out. Legal Mindset didn't really touch on that too much, other than say that, hey, he can win all these cases. But again, Team Tate is saying, hey, if we can prove that this woman right here is a liar, she's a criminal, she tried to shake us down, it didn't work, and now she's using these countries to come after us, she's lying. And if they can prove it somehow by, win the defamation case, first of all, but then it's like, okay, now we can go to these other countries and show that, hey, this woman, we've proven in the U.S. court that she's done all these things and she's bad and she's lying here as well, kind of muddy the waters, and then it's like, let us see your evidence. If all evidence is based on this woman or a group of women that they've proved that lied, then the Tates are probably saying, hey, I got a good shot at beating this stuff in UK. And we already know the thing in Romania is just going to be left open, so I ain't worried about Romania. So again, Team Tate has one take on it. I'm surprised Legal Mindset didn't speak on it more. Is that a viable defense? Does he know anything about it? Maybe he hasn't looked into it. I guess we'll find out.
That's the only law that matters. Winning a defamation case, maybe that's going to make them look good in the court of public opinion, but it doesn't change the extradition at all whatsoever. So here's my judgment. It is highly likely that the Tate brothers will be extradited to face charges in the UK. That is probably going to happen. Now, they may fight this. They may try to appeal. They may drag this out. It could take 6 months up to 2 years. It could take a while to extradite them if they really fight this and drag this out. But the defenses that Tate so far are ineffective in actually raising a defense to extradition. Just saying there's the matrix is not going to get you out of that. Now, if they can point to some sort of specific animus, political animus, that specific prosecutors or specific people that were working on the case and say, hey, look, this person has a political animus and this person has a political angle, that's different. But at this point, they're just making broad claims about, hey, they're biased against us, or hey, they're going to run for PM. That's not specific enough, and that's not really going to be enough to fight against that and fall into that political offense exception. The appeal to Rubio is, I think, going to be ineffective because of that imbalance between the U.S. and UK. Frankly, the U.S. needs it more than the UK, but you never know what's going to happen. And I want to know what you guys think is going to happen with the Tates in the comments below, and I will catch you on the next one.
Yo, shout out to him, man. Make sure you guys go over there and support. That was great. That was great. Not gonna lie. That was some good information. Make sure you guys get over there and support Legal Mindset. He's doing good work. He's doing amazing work. The whole, so all but out there, he's saying that basically, and again, this guy's a lawyer. He doesn't practice that type of law, but he understands that word way better than I do as a retired traveler, probably better than the person. So I'm going to definitely defer to him. He doesn't sound like he's pro Tate at all. Right. So, that's cool. Again, this is a guy who moves in the Meadow Swamp. Like, he's Meadow Swamp adjacent. A lot of people who follow him, Fresh and Fit subscribers, whatever podcast subscribers, Rolo Tomasi subscribers, and the list goes on and on. So, you can't say that this dude is like, oh man, he's just a Andrew Tate shill. He's just trying to put it out there. Like, hey man, this is what y'all looking at. Right. He's just like, this is, I'm a trained lawyer. I'm looking at the treaty. I'm looking at the process, bro. I'm looking at what's been going on historically. Yeah, man, y'all going back to UK. Now, the only question becomes, how long will it take? Like, y'all going to be over here for a few months, maybe a year. He said it just can go up to 2 years. You're going to sit over here for 2 years? And if so, are you going to sit, in jail for the whole time? You're going to sit down there in Miami, right? Locked up for 2 years fighting this thing? Okay. Or, right. So what I think is going to happen is if they can get out, like if they can get some sort of release, some sort of bond, work something out with the government, say, hey man, we're going to fight this thing. We're going to be here for a couple of years. Allow us to not sit in this jail. And if they can get a judge to give them some sort of bond or whatever, some sort of release, then yeah, I think they'll take it the whole 2 years. They'll run it out as long as they can because they're chilling, they free, they ain't locked up. But if they're gonna wind up like stuck in jail while they fight this thing, then I don't think they're gonna want to sit here for 2 years. I wouldn't. It's like, all right, man, let's run the appeal. Let's do what we got to do. It's not looking good. We're gonna have to run this thing out 2 years, man. All right, let me go back to UK. Right. The whole purpose of this was maybe just to get a peek at the case that the UK has built against them. Like, let's see what they have. Right. It's kind of like, because over here we got discovery and all that. So I don't know how that plays into it. I don't know if America's like, hey, telling the United Kingdom, like, hey, we're going to show the Tates what they're accused of. And then UK is like, nah, don't show them. Don't show them what we have. We're not ready for that yet. What would that mean? Because the judge be like, what do you mean don't show them? Well, won't you just look at it and then you determine? But like Legal Mindset said, it's just, they don't have to reach any real burden of proof. You know what I mean? Just, you don't need probable cause, just reasonable suspicion. Reasonable suspicion. Like, man, that's not a high bar. So it just depends what's going to happen here. Like, it just depends. And the Tates got millions, so they're going to be able to fight a little bit, but, they don't have enough money to to fight a government. Like, the United Kingdom has way more money than the Tates. So I wonder what's going to happen moving forward. But for now, Tate's going to have to just sit down. They're sitting in there. They're wearing their outfit. They're eating jail food, which is horrible. A lot of people are talking about the tweets like, yeah, man, Tate is tweeting this stuff out. Tate is saying this and Tate is saying that. And I'm like, well, how? Dude, he's locked up, bro. You don't get your cell phone when you locked up, fam. Like, you can't, there's no internet access when you locked up like that, fam. You can't talk to the broader public. You can talk to your people. So I assume what's going on is Tate is sending information out to whoever has his phone, probably someone like Justin, or maybe, some paralegal or one of their homies. Right. So Justin Waller's like one of his homeboys. Like Justin probably has access to his phone. It's like, hey man, do me a favor, send out this tweet. Because people in jail can, you got money on your books or whatever. You can communicate with folks. Right. So long as you got enough money on your books, you can communicate. You can send as many messages as you want. You can make phone calls, bro. You can send text messages now here in Florida, at least in Hillsborough County. You can get a text message from somebody inside. It can't get real long ones, but they can hit you up like, what's good, bro? Hey, look, I'm gonna, they could say, hey, I'm gonna call you at 8:30 p.m. to give you a heads up. And that's something that I try to, tell my people, like, bro, text me, let me know when you're gonna call so I can be free to take your call. I'm out here, I'm busy, and I can't call you back when I'm free. So, I tell dudes like, yo, text me when you're gonna call. And if you got enough money in your books, you can make those calls. And it's not real expensive, but most dudes, there's a lot of dudes in jail, they don't have the money on their books to make these calls, to send these text messages. Like I told you guys, I was in there for 65 days, and I spent, man, how much did I spend? $300, $400, something like that. Spent at least $150, $200 a month. And the majority of that money, like, some of it went to commissary, but most of that money I wound up buying people that I'm locked up with stuff. Like, oh, bro, you need some glasses. I know it was one of the homies in there needed some glasses, man. He's a cool guy. He was trying to turn his life around, man. He's really trying to, but he didn't have anything. He's like, man, I got negative balance. I ain't got no money. Like, bro, he can't read. No problem, man. I jumped on there. He came over and said, I just need some glasses. He was real frustrated because he wants to read his Bible and he wants to do some other things. No problem, bro. You know what I mean? That was like on a Tuesday. You know what I mean? I put the order in on Thursday. Friday, he had his glasses or something like that. Or Saturday, whenever, I forget when the drop came, like, when the PX or whatever, I say the PX, when the commissary people rolled up, you put your order in and the commissary people come and they bring you your stuff. So whether you're ordering glasses or shoes, or toothpaste or honey buns, cinnamon, M&Ms, whatever you ordering, you get it. So I think you order on like a Tuesday and then it shows up on Thursday. Then you can order like on Saturday and it's there like on Monday or something. I can't remember, but bro, dude said he needed some glasses. I talked to him, man. He was feeling real frustrated. I was just trying to, hey man, just stay on the path, bro. You doing good. You're about to turn your life around, bro. You ain't trying to be in here for, like you're already in your 50s now. Like you said, I'm just telling him what he told me, ordered him some glasses. And those glasses were like $10, $15 or whatever. These are glasses you can buy at the corner store, like CVS or Walgreens for $1. Right. But they're charging you like $10 in there, $15, whatever they charge. It was stupid, but he needed glasses and I got him some glasses. That's where most of my commissary money went, just helping out other people. I got me some sweets. I got me some snacks, but most of the snacks I had, I gave away anyway. But if you got enough money, you can make calls. Like I could transfer my money over to phone calls. I want to make phone calls, just transfer the money from that was there on my regular commissary for food, just transfer it over for calls. Do the same thing with your messages and with your text messages and stuff like that. Just transfer the money over. So I think that's what Tate is doing. He's on his tablet. He's talking to his people and he's telling him what he wants posted on his Twitter, on his X. Or someone just doing it on their own. And Tate's just kind of sitting there like, well, I have no idea what's going on here. Right. So I thought that was a really good video. That's the best video I've seen so far that breaks down this extradition thing with the Tates. So my closing thoughts, bro. One of the biggest mistakes people make is assuming that an arrest an indictment or an extradition request answers the ultimate question of guilt. It doesn't. It doesn't. The legal process exists to test evidence, hear both sides, to reach a decision based on law, not headlines or hashtags. So regardless of what anyone thinks about the Tate brothers personally, cases like this provide opportunity to better understand how international justice systems work, why due process matters, and how difficult cross-border criminal investigations can be. Right. And that's kind of where I am with it. Just see how the process works. Right. There's all kind of, little twists and turns throughout this whole thing. Right. The biggest one being, hey man, did the Tates really invest heavily with Trump? They cough up $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, whatever. They cough up some money, hoping for something in return. Hey, if we get jammed up here, you can stop this extradition to the UK, because it looks like the Tates don't want to go back to the UK. They don't want to face this thing. So, all right. Did they pay the money? First of all, did Trump and his people say, okay, we're going to make good on this? And then the final piece of that puzzle would be, all right, can Trump pressure Marco Rubio to squash the extradition after all this is said and done? Can Trump do that? And you look at where Trump is politically right now, probably not. Probably not. Rubio is probably not going to do that. Why? Because Rubio wants to be president. And he's already tied to Trump. And, it is what it is. And it's bad for any Republican right now. We got a midterm coming up in November. Does not look good for Republicans. It does not look good for established Democrats. We got, there's some elections going on right now. Tonight, and where you got some Democratic socialists out there going up against, regular Democrats. And, Democrats are falling just like the Republicans are falling. So Rubio is not going to want to add to his political problems. He's already tarnished. So for him to turn around, if he were to do this thing, because Trump orders him to, like, hey man, squash that extradition with the Tate brothers. And if Rubio did it, I mean, that really just slams the door on any hope of him ever becoming president, because this is always going to come up. Like, you were never able to stand up against Donald Trump or whatever. I mean, like, your political enemy is going to be able to use this forever. So I don't think Rubio will do it. I think Rubio just sit back and say, hey, the lower court said this. They had their due process. They had their appeals. It's been a couple years or months or wherever the case may be. No, I'm not going to stop that. I don't think there's any political implications there. You're going to put them on a plane and send them to the UK. Right? And you just never know. Like, a judge still has to go through all this. So we'll see how this plays out, man. We got Brother Mandrell in the building. What's good, fam? Good to see you. We'll see how this all plays out. Right? We see how this all plays out. Now we know a little bit more about it. Now we kind of got an idea how the process works. We got to listen to an attorney. Again, he's not in that type of law, but he was able to kind of break it down through an attorney's lens. And he said what he had to say. He's like, oh, it looks like these guys are going to get extradited. It's just historically speaking, these guys are going. Right. And that part about if Rubio were to squash this thing, it'll really mess up what America's doing, because apparently America wants to extradite people out of UK back to America more than the Brits want to extradite people out of America into Britain. So you do this, the Brits are like, all right, fine. Don't even bother sending us any extradition requests. So now you got that going back and forth. Right. And understand, like, politically speaking, man, like, the Brits, they ain't trying to deal with the Trump administration. They know it's all kind of effery going on. The rest of the free world don't like what Trump is doing. It's putting pressure on everybody. So that's a lot. That's a lot for Marco Rubio. I just don't see Marco Rubio just following orders in this case. I just don't see it. I don't see it. I think the only shot the Tates have is just through the courts, and their defense attorney already said that they'll take it to the highest court in the land. They're going to take this all the way to the Supreme Court. So I guess we're going to be watching this for a while, man. We're going to be watching this, and we'll see how it plays out. So that's it. That's our that is our Crime and Punishment Tuesday episode. let me know if you guys thought it was all right. You know what I mean? And again, thank you again to Dr. B, man, who became a member. And remember, if you guys decide to become a member, we're putting everything behind that back there in that community, because I can't show it here. I can't show it here. I got to pick and choose my words, but back there, man, we talking like you're supposed to talk. So if you can, you know, if you have it, and I know a lot of people don't, I would really appreciate it if you can join. But if you can't join, don't worry about it. Just do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe. You know, that'll be enough. You know what I mean? That will be enough as we continue to grow and push to the next level here on YouTube with this platform. So in closing, right, it's everything I just said, man. Let me read my notes because I got it up. I got it set up on, on my notes. So I'm just going to say it again. Hope you enjoyed that discussion, man. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join the conversation in the comments, because your perspective matters. It really does. It really does. Until next time, I'm DL saying, and always, as always, I really want to know. So we are out of here, guys. I will see you soon. Peace.
Nothing like I've ever seen. It's just a thing of beauty.
Darn, that's the end.
Thanks for watching. We really appreciate your support. And if you like that video, check out this one, or maybe that one. We'll see you around. Peace.